I wanted to unfuck my life. I felt miserable about my situation and didn't know what to do. I procrastinated and spent my days on social media. I had the feeling that I am the only one who understood that the damn phone is the problem until I talked to a friend who could relate to my situation. We didn't hesitate and booked a flight to Vietnam, rent an apartment for 30 days and quitted our phones. We went from being unhappy and unsatisfied young men to becoming a more conscious version of ourselves. That's why we want to share our learnings from that time and talk about the real problem of dopamine, how to use dopamine to your advantage, how to use FOMO to solve your phone addiction, and the importance of a structure in your life.
Everyone is talking bad about
Dopamine.
But what if I told you that dopamine is not the problem?
Back in the days, the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine gave our ancestors the necessary drive for survival, seeking for food and shelter or having sexual drive for procreation.
It's a reward system that responds to triggers it perceives as rewarding. The problem nowadays, it gets exploited by the algorithms of social media apps. That's why you are addicted. That's why you are feeling so terrible after overstimulating your brain on social media apps. You could blame them for stealing your time and attention by exploiting your reward system. You could also take responsibility and get back control of your life. Dopamine is not the problem. It is instant gratification. It leads to a lack of drive, makes it challenging to stay engaged in daily tasks, and in the worst case, the anxiety and stress it produces can lead to depression. Delayed gratification, on the other hand, is the willingness to wait for a larger reward or outcome in the future. For example, look at my journey in the gym. In the first weeks I felt uncomfortable going to the gym. I wasn't as trained as the others and didn't know how to exercise correctly. But I kept going to the gym every day. I asked other people for help and within months I was already seeing good results. The gym taught me that delayed gratification is the way to get where I want to be. During the 30 days without our phones, we removed everything related to instant gratification from our lives. Changing our behavior to get dopamine the natural way felt weird in the first days. Instead of checking our phones immediately after waking up, we went for a run or a quick workout. Instead of scrolling through social media and chatting with our crush, we invested our time into work and realized how big of a difference it makes. We knew our behavior towards our phone was unhealthy, but we realized it was even worse. We learned that it was much easier to focus because there was no distraction at all. Even though we had no stimulation, we told ourselves every day that in the long run the satisfaction of the work we are doing right now would be lasting and much more rewarding.
A huge problem of the social media platforms, especially Instagram, is the fear of missing out. Your friends, family and idols are posting their lives, but they don't share their lives, they share a selection of highlights. In the last few years I developed an anxiety to miss out on those highlights. But 97% of the time, the stories or posts I watched were irrelevant to me. I was stressing out about highlights I didn't even care about. The fear of missing out was almost the reason we didn't do the 30 days no phone. No contact to our social circles for 1 month. Could we miss something important during that time? A few days in we realized that this fear was unfounded. Nothing that really concerns you happens on social media. But fortunately, you can shift your FOMO and use it to your advantage. Everybody dreams of nice experiences, like traveling to unknown countries or singing along with friends at their favorite concerts. Imagine you would miss these experiences. This imagination scared the out of me. I transformed this anxiety into the drive to turn those dreams into reality. Instead of fearing to miss out the latest Instagram posts, I started fearing out to miss the life experiences I could make. I realized that I only have this life. This is your entire life in weeks. This is when you're born, and this is when you'll die. There's a high chance that you're in this age, so you have this much time left. You sleep 8 hours and work 8 hours a day. If you spend 4 hours on your phone, that is 10 years wasted, and means you only have this much time left to enjoy life. A great method to start living proactively instead of procrastinating the whole time is to create an Antiv Vision of your life. Imagine the life you do definitely not want to live. How does it look like? And how much of that Antiv Vision is in your current situation? Your phone addiction, maybe a toxic relationship. Keep procrastinating about the business you wanted to start? If you don't change anything about this, you're heading directly towards the life you don't want to live. Imagine the Antiv Vision you created and act exactly the opposite of it. So you want to change your life. Congratulations. But unfortunately your 3 a.m. motivation isn't enough to change anything. You have been in this situation over and over again. Start changing your life failing after a couple days and reinstall Instagram again. How familiar sounds that to you? You need more than a motivation spike to change something. You need a system.
Have a routine that's disciplined, that's predictable, and bloody well stick to it. You're going to be way healthier and happier and saner if you do that.
You need a framework that gives you structure in life. A framework supports you in being disciplined. And being disciplined is essential to reach your goals. Whether it's the phone addiction that you want to get under control, or finally making an effort to get good grades at school or university this year, like you always told yourself. Without a clear structure, you're doomed to fail. Everybody you look up to has a clear structure in their life. That helps them work proactively on their goals instead of procrastinating like you did before watching this video. In the past, I worked on my goals based on motivation spikes. I started multiple businesses and fell off because I lacked consistency every single time. I needed to learn that structure is necessary to succeed in the long term. I began to try out different methods, but none of them worked for me. I realized that first I needed to fix my biggest problem. I needed to solve my addiction to instant gratification first, before I could work proactively and focus on my goals. We used the 30 days without our phones to gather all of our knowledge and focused on building a framework that cures the addiction to instant gratification and helps staying consistent. Included is a system that combines the advantages of proven methods that helped us to stay on track. The framework has a video course that digs deeper into the topic on how to overcome your phone addiction or any other addiction, and it teaches you how to stay consistent and finally build your fundament for the future. We guide you through the process of tailoring your framework to your specific needs. Since we solved our biggest problem, we want to help others who are in the same situation as we were. Our framework is available on proactive.so. So if you want the shortcut into a fulfilled life instead of spending years to figure it out like we did, feel free to check out the first link in the description. In our case, we could support and control each other, but we know that it's much more difficult and needs more self-discipline if you do it all by yourself. That's why we built an exclusive community where like-minded people can exchange and discuss on how their journey is going.
If you watch carefully, you learn everything you need to know to change your life. But there's one problem you must avoid at all costs. Whether you stay reactive and live impulse-driven for the rest of your life, waiting for opportunities and getting directed by others, or you start being proactive and take back responsibility over your life. We decided proactively to get out of our comfort zone. Living in a country where we don't know anyone, don't speak the language, and all of that without our phones. We did the extreme version, but you don't have to. You just have to decide how you treat this video. Approving to what we have said but still go on scrolling through social media and heading directly towards your Antiv Vision.
Or approving to what we have said and taking your first step immediately towards the life you always dreamed of.